Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I'm Marcus and today I will give you a short overview about Mining Maniac, which is about to start on Kickstarter pretty soon. Originally, Mining Maniac is a game for 2 to 4 players. You see the extended version here already, and I'm not so sure what they will offer in the Kickstarter campaign. As far as I understood, they will start with 2 to 4 players and maybe they will add the 5th and 6th player through a stretch goal or some paid add-ons or something like that. I'm not so sure about that one. So you might see some of the components here that might not make it into the final game. In Mining Maniac, you are the CEO of your own little mining corporation and you try to get the most money, aka victory points, by selling gems, gold, coal and copper. Rather than explaining you the game, I guess I will show you 2 or 3 rounds of Mining Maniac. So here I already prepared the setup of the game area and starting with the market price board where all those different price cards are already laid out, and of course they are being assigned at random. Later on we will see some price rotation, but this will be the starting price. So for example, in the very first round, gems are worth $2. I also prepared the deck of those incidents cards here, and there are 24 cards in the box, but you only play with 12 of those. Here you never exactly know what fate will have prepared for you, and for once these incident cards present certain events at the start of each of the game rounds, but there are also a timer. So when the last card is being revealed, this will trigger the end of the game, meaning this will be the very last round. Here we have the map that is representing the different mines that are available around the globe. Basically, right now all those mines are kept face down, and at the start of each player's round some of those mines will be revealed and later on those can be exploited, but I will come to that in a second. These are the 6 different character cards that come with a base game. If you play with a 5 or 6 player expansion, you get 3 additional of those character cards, but I will simulate a 3-player game at this point in time, so we will just remove those 3 additional cards. And last but not least, each player starts the game with $4, 2 workers, and basically 1 player will be the starting player. We will just go with this player here. There is no color for the player, so this is just player 1. These wooden cylinders here represent the workforce that you will be able to hire throughout the game, but the designers or the producers of this game, X-Axis Production, are considering to replace those with those aluminum or alloy pieced helmet tokens here basically, and they are so cool. They sent me one little of those samples here, and hopefully this will be a stretch goal that will make it into the final product, because those little helmets are so much cooler than those wooden cylinders. And again, these are not plastic right now, this is really some metal based helmets. Pretty nice. As the setup is really straightforward, we can directly jump into the game, and first step of each round would be to do the price rotation. We don't do that in the very first round. The rules are not very specific on this one, but as we have assigned those prices at a random basis, I think we don't have to do another price rotation at this point in time. Step 2, nevertheless, will take place at this point in time, because this means each player will now be able to draft one of the characters. Though what does it mean? The starting player gets the 6 character cards here. They gives them a very good shuffle, and then he will remove one of those character cards face down out of the game for now, or at least for this round. So there's always 1 character missing from those 6 characters. In a 2-player game, you would normally remove 2 of those character cards. So there's always 4 for a 2-player game and 5 for a 3-player game. In this example, these 5 cards would be the starting cards for the starting player, so he could take one of those characters out of those 5 and then would pass the remaining cards to the player on his left. 2 informations are important on those cards. For once, the top left number here, which more or less defines when it would be your turn during the actual player action step of the current round. The lower the number, the earlier you get to do your actions. The second information is printed on the bottom of this card and represents a kind of a special ability for those characters. So for example, the market controller would allow you to rearrange all the mineral prices in the market at his desire, but then he would have the restriction he's not allowed to sell any of those products in this round where he has altered those prices. Whereas the recruiter would just give you one additional worker at the start of your turn. Workers are always important, at least at the very start of the game. So I think the starting player of player 1 will go with the recruiter for now. So he will put that card face down in front of him, and then he will pass the remaining cards to the player on his left. So these cards will now go to player number 2. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. I think you get the picture here. I think player 2 will go with a trader here. You get one additional action, and this is an additional sell action, which could also be very valuable. So for now, I think player 2 will be happy with the trade. Of course, he will also put that card face down in front of him. And I guess player 2 will just go with a project manager, which allows you to split your workers into 2 different teams and go mining 2 different sites. Normally you're only allowed to mine 1 site during a turn, but with a project manager you would be allowed to mine up to 2 sites. So let's take the project manager. And the last player will take the remaining 2 cards and will remove them from the round, basically also face down, so the other players don't know exactly which card he has chosen. So basically in a 3-player game, 3 cards have not been selected this round. After the character selection, it's time to face the unexpected incident. So we will take the first card from the incident deck and have a look at that. And here we have an industrial accident. And here the players are really lucky, because the industrial accident says all gem minerals under player assets are removed from the game. Luckily, none of the players have any minerals at this point in time, so no one has to discard a valuable card from this game, though this was really fortunate for all the players. So the incident card stays more or less available. Some of the cards have a permanent effect for this round, but in this case this is more or less a one-time effect with no effect in this very first turn. And then we come to the turn order, basically, and it says chronologically players take their turn starting from rank 1. The player on the left of the highest ranked player will be the first to select a character card next round. Right now we don't know what characters all the players have been chosen. So the rules are saying, okay, the starting player will now start counting from rank number 1 and will ask, has anyone rank number 1? In this case, none of the player has character 1. Character 1 is the market controller, so the starting player would ask again, anyone with rank number 2. That's also not the case. Rank number 3, no one has rank number 3. And then we come to rank number 4, and here player number 2 says, yes, that's me. I have number 4. I am the trader in this round, so I will go first. First of all, you would check out your character's abilities. Some of the character's abilities are normally triggered at the beginning of a round. So for example, if you sabotage another player, or even the market controller also normally adjusts the price at the start of his turn. But some of the characters, like the trader here, for example, give you an extra action, for example, which you can more or less voluntarily choose when you would play that additional ability. The next step would be the map exploring. I will show that in a second. And then we would come to the monthly routine, where the players would conduct the 2 actions for this round. The trader has one extra action in this round, so this is definitely something or an ability where the player 2 could decide, I will do that later on, so we can skip that for now, so we can directly jump into the map exploring. And now we try to find out which of those mines are being revealed. Therefore, we would roll a 6-sided die, and according to the result, we would reveal a row or a column. In this case, we would normally start from top to bottom. So this would be the 1, the 2, the 3. If we would have a 4, then we would go into the column. So 4, 5, and 6. In this case, this is number 3. So we would reveal the bottom row of the map. So those mines are now already available in order to exploit those. After the exploration, we will go over to the monthly routine. Each player is allowed to execute 2 different actions. That's important. These have to be 2 different actions, and there are 3 possible actions during your turn. It's normally you could hire additional workers, you could go mining, or you would be allowed to sell your minerals. Let's start with the hiring process. Hiring is pretty straightforward. For each worker you want to hire, you have to pay $1. Basically, during one action you are allowed to hire up to 4 workers, and your overall limit is 8. So you can never have more than 8 workers in your reserve, basically. In this case, I think player 2 who starts the game will... Why not? I think we will spend all our dollars and we will go for 4 additional workers. So this was basically his first action. And those workers will just be placed in front of him. So he has now 6 workers available. And I guess with his second action he will do some mining. You can only mine cards that have been revealed. There is in the extensions, or with a 5 or 6 player, there is an adventurer who can also mine cards that are currently face down, but in the base game you can only do that for revealed cards. And the top right number of those cards show you how many workers you have to spend in order to exploit that mine. So in this case you could send 3 workers to this gold mine, and this gold mine will give you 5 pieces of gold basically, and the same goes for here, but this is really a very good return of invest basically. So we will spend those 3 workers at this point in time. These workers go back to the common reserve, so you can only use them once. You can keep them in your reserve normally if you're not being sabotaged, but you're only allowed to use them once. Then you would just take this card from the reserve, you put it in front of you, and then you will just replenish the mine where we have left this little spot here. Of course, the new card goes on the map face down again. Normally the turn of player 2 would be over now, but because he has chosen the trader, he has now 1 extra sell action during your turn. The problem is that the gold price really sucks. So the prices can go from $1 to $3 basically. There are certain event cards that will give you a little bit more, so then you would move this card up a bit, or there are also cards that reduce the price of a mineral basically, but for now this piece of gold is only worth $1. So when he would sell this card here, he would gain $1 for each icon that's printed on the card. So this would mean he would gain $5. If he would wait 1 round, the price will rotate, which means this card goes here, this card goes here. So he already knows under normal circumstances gold will be worth $2 at the next during the next turn. So I think it could be wiser to just wait and just skip the special ability of the trader, because then he would make $10 instead of only 5. And I think this is what he will do. So he will call it a day and will pass the torch to player number 3. But I'm already ahead of things because I already know what player number 3 would have. So normally now the starting player would continue with counting up. So we were at rank number 4. So he would add anyone with rank number 5. And then, yeah, player number 3 would say, yes, that's me. I am the project manager and I will be able to mine 2 different sites during my turn if I get enough of those workers. But again, we will do the exploration. So again, we will roll the die. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this column will be revealed for this player here and here. Not so nice. So we have 1 copper, 3 coal. That's not entirely bad. So maybe he might think of taking both of those sides because he has the project manager. So the first official thing that he will do, he will also hire 4 of those workers, so he has to pay $4. So he takes 4 workers from the reserve and he will also place them in front of him. By the way, when those workers are gone, then they are gone. So there's no way to hire more workers than there are actually on the market. And here the game scales. I think with a 2-player game you have 12 of those workers in play. In a 3-player game you already have 16 players, 16 of those tokens, and so on. Then he will also do some mining. Normally you could only go to one of those mines, but as he has the project manager, he can split his crew into 2 teams basically, and I think this is what he will do. So for once he will send 3 workers here to the coal mine, and I think we will send 2 workers down to this copper mine. So these workers go back to the common reserve. Those 2 cards go to the possession of player number 3, and then we will place 2 new mines, and again we do that face down. And then last but not least we come to player number 1. He reveals his card. We already know that this is the recruiter with a 6, and this special ability of the recruiter just says at the start of his turn he gets 1 additional worker, which is definitely not a bad thing. Then we'll do the max map exploration. Here we will reveal row number 1. Again, we have some copper. I really gave them a very good shuffle, so I'm not sure what's going on here. So in this case, we really see a lot of copper cards, but I think overall that's definitely not so bad for the players, because the future price for copper will be 3. So as of round number 2, copper will be worth $3, and this is definitely quite a lot. So this is definitely not a bad thing for all of the players. So I think he will also spend $4 to hire 4 of those workers, and with his second action he will also do some mining. He will go for this mine here. I think right now that's the best return, so those workers go back. He will grab this mineral card, and of course we will place 1 new resource card accordingly. And now we would assign the starting player for the next round. And in this case, the rules are pretty clear. They're saying, okay, the player to the left of the character with the lowest rank will be the starting player during the next round. This will make sure that the player who started the actual action phase in this round will be the last to choose a new character in the next round, and this is definitely should balance out a little bit the starting player. I think this is overall not a bad idea. So in this case, player 1 will remain the starting player, so all those character cards will just go back to the pile. We will give them a shuffle, and then we would start a new round. But first of all, we will do the market rotation, which means gold is now worth 2, copper is now worth 3, which is definitely not so bad, and the future price of copper will also be not entirely bad. It's still worth $2. Player 1 will still be the starting player in this round, so again he will take the 6 character cards. We will give them a shuffle. We will remove 1 of those cards, and those 5 cards will be available in this turn. And those are the cards that are currently available. And here we see the corporate spy. This is already some kind of an attack card. For once, he starts the action phase pretty soon because he has a relatively low rank. Only the market controller would go before him. But the special ability of the corporate spy is a little bit tricky because you have to assume what character cards and the players would, let's say, take over in the common round. And in most cases you really see that for once when you check out the workforce which they're currently having in front of them, and of course the cards that they have. So you could say, for example, that you can be pretty sure that player number 3 will do some hiring in this phase, and he might also go for selling some of those commodities because the prices for copper is extremely good in this turn. So you could imagine, for example, that he might go with a trader card, for example. So I think, yeah, why not? Let's go with the corporate spy for player number 1. So we will take this card. The remaining cards go now to player number 3 in this case, right? Player number 2 was the starting player. So player number 3 definitely, I think, yeah, he wants to do that. So he will go with a trader because he has a lot of those cards. So, and then he will pass the remaining cards to player number 2. And player number 2 really thinks, I don't have any copper, I only got gold here, and I think I really want to change the price a little bit. So I think player number 2 will go with a market controller, and the remaining 2 cards will just be discarded, so no one of the other players exactly know what player number 2 has chosen. But before we move on, we have to reveal our incident card for this round, and here we have the bull market rally. And this is pretty nice. This is an ongoing effect for the complete round, which says all players may sell their minerals at a +1 price this round. This is awesome for the players who have some coppers in their hand. This is, of course, really perfect. So this card will just sit beside the market price board, for example, to remember the players. And then the starting player will ask again, okay, anyone with character card number 1? And yeah, here player 2 says, yes, I am the market controller, I will go first. And now I would be allowed to rearrange the mineral prices in the market at your desire. And as player number 2, I think I mentioned it, doesn't have any copper, but all the other players have copper. He really don't want to let them sell their copper at a very good price. So I think for once he will remove this price card from there. I think he will place the copper card here. I think he will place the future card. Or maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. Yeah, let's do that. So for now, that's fine. So I think he will replace this card to here. And I think for him, this is basically pretty good. So for once, player number 3 will not be able to sell the coal or copper for a very good price. And also player number 1 has only some copper left, so they will definitely suck. He will keep his gold price at $2, which is okay for him, and he will still be allowed to sell gold, because if he would have changed the price for gold, he would not be allowed to sell any gold this round. Okie dokie, let's do the exploration. Here we have a 1, so again we will reveal row number 1, and this is some coal. Not entirely good, because you have to spend 3 workers for only 2 pieces of coal. Overall, that's not that good of a deal. For his first action, I think he will sell his gold. So this card will be discarded for now. He has 5 pieces of gold. Each is worth $2, which means he just made $10. Overall, that's definitely not too bad. This was his very first action in this round. And by the way, by default, you can only sell one type of good. If he would have more gold cards, he would be allowed to sell all of those gold cards, but he would not be allowed to sell a gold card and a copper card, for example, unless you are the trader who has 1 extra sell action during the turn. And I already forgot, we have the bull market rally here, so this means he gets 1 additional buck for each of the gold pieces he sold, which means he gets an additional $5, and this is definitely not a bad thing. And I guess with his second action he will do some mining. He will send 1 worker here to this copper mine, because he already sees that in the future copper might be worth $3 instead of only 1 in this round, so he can also get some return out of this worker here. So let's quickly fill up the hole here. This was a turn of player number 2. Now starting player would ask again, anyone with rank 2, and he knows, yes, that's me. I am the corporate spy. And the card says, name a character whom you want to sabotage. When the player with this character is revealed, he must discard a random mineral card from his asset at the beginning of his turn. And really the corporate spy was for once he knew the trader was in the deck, because he started the character selection in this round and he knew the trader was there. And he also saw that player number 3 has 2 of those different cards, so he might assume, okay, this player might go with the trader. So in this case he says, yeah, I will announce the trader, but right now every player will remain silent until the character cards are being revealed. So he just says trader, but I think the look on this face of this player will tell everything. It says, oh, come on, why are you doing this to me? Then we will roll the die again. So this is a 4, which means this column will be revealed. Oh, this is not so bad. 4 for 5, 3 for 4. That's definitely not a bad situation. Let's check out the prices for next round. And I think gems are worth $2, because this will move there, and gold might be only worth $1. So we really have to think about it. But I think we still have 2 actions, and we have still the bull market rally. So I think I will go for this card for now. So I think with the very first action we will do some mining here. Those go back to the reserve. So player number 1 will take the gold reserve, we will reveal a new card. And with the second action, we will also sell our gold. So currently gold is worth 2, but plus the market rally it's worth 3, which means player number 1 would also gain 15 nice little dollars. And those were basically the actions for player number 1. Now it's player number 3, because he's the last player, he will just reveal his card. And here the trader is there, and now the corporate spy special ability would trigger, and it just says we will shuffle the cards, or the commodity cards, mineral cards of the player, and one of those will be discarded. And here we have the coal, and I think overall that was not entirely bad, but yeah, I think both cards are valuable here. So he will start this new round with only one of those asset cards. Again, we will roll the die. That's a 6, so this is the last column here. So we have 2 copper for 3, 1 coal. Okay, overall that's definitely not a bad card, I guess. Unfortunately, he only has 1 worker and he doesn't have any cash. And he really calculated completely differently. He was really expecting to sell some of the copper at the market for a very good price. But I think this is something he has to do now. Okay, I guess with his first action he will send 1 worker to this coal mine here. This is his last work, but still he would be allowed to gain that card here. We will refill the map. And then he has still 1 normal action left, but he still is the trader, so he would have an additional sell action. I think he needs some cash, and no, I think not, because the next price will be 3 instead of 2 now. So I think he will just sell his 1 coal card here. At least this gives him $2 because of the increased prices for this bull market rally, which means he just made $2, which is not entirely good, but at least this is something which could bring him back into the game, because with that he might be able to hire some workers. And I think, yeah, I think this was the extra sell action he did. So he still has 1 normal action left. He could do an extra sell action now. Of course, he doesn't want to do that. But with his $2, he could immediately go and hire 2 workers. So this is at least something that he doesn't have to do during the start of his next turn. So during his next turn, he has 2 full complete actions available. Again, we would assign the new starting player. Again, he has started the game. Again, player number 1 would be the starting player during the next turn. Yeah, I think overall that's not entirely bad. Of course, he will be the second player in respect to the selection of the character. So yeah, I think, what the heck, we cannot have it. Though those cards go back to the character pile. We will do the price rotation. So now copper is really worth something. If no one of the players will change the order of the prices, again with a market controller, and then again we would do the character drafting. But I guess I will stop it here. I really wanted to show you how this game actually works. It's a very simple game. It's a relatively fast game, but it's really a lot of fun. Really, I enjoyed it a great deal. It's not a game entirely good for 2 players. It works with 2 players because it scales okay, because you're taking some of the character cards out, but really the fun starts with 3 or 4 players, because then, for example, the saboteur is always good there. So you can imagine, okay, most of the character cards are in play, for example. So this is definitely a lot of fun. But again, you can also enjoy it with just 2 players. Personally, I have not heard of Mining Maniac before, so I was really surprised when X-Axis reached out to me and asked, hey, do you want to try out our new game? And I said, yes, sure, why not? And I was really happy to get the chance to look at Mining Maniac. The components in the game look pretty final, to be honest, but as you can see, the cards, for example, are very thin, and also those cardboard tokens, they're also very thin. I think they mentioned in the email or in some of the correspondence that they're considering to do better components, at least some of those thicker cards, for example, and I already mentioned that they are considering to replace those workers with this nice helmet here. I'm not sure if you can see it with this nice helmet here, but I think this really is depending on the Kickstarter campaign itself. So some of this stuff might look a little bit differently when you get the final game, though I really hope that at least the quality of those components will improve a little bit. But apart from that, the game looks really polished. So in respect to the rules, everything seems to be pretty balanced, to be honest. Some of the incident cards, they are really mean because you're not playing with all of the incident cards in each of the game. It could really be that you are being struck by some of those events more than the other players. For example, those industrial accidents where it says all gold minerals under players' assets are removed from the game. For example, we are the only player with 3 of those gold cards in your asset, then you have to remove those cards, and this can really bring you down basically. And maybe all the other industrial accident cards are not in the game because they have been shuffled out at the start of the game. Again, there are 24 of those incident cards, but only 12 of them are being used. But apart from that, I really enjoyed the little event-like situations of those incident cards. Sometimes they really come in the worst situations. So for example, in our last game, I think we had in the round number 11 or so, basically the round before the last one, I think no one would be allowed to hire any workers. I think I didn't have any workers. And in the last round, then we had some kind of a strike or something like that, so no one would be able to mine. So in this case, I was able to hire actual workers, but I could not use them to mine some mines. So overall, those incidents can come in really kind of a catastrophe. But again, slick little game, explained very fast, so I think it takes you maybe 10 to 15 minutes maximum, and then you can immediately jump into Mining Maniac here. So I think check it out on their Kickstarter site. You will find a link to the campaign in the description of this video, of course. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. And until then, bye bye.